I just finished playing Hermit and Pig. In fact, at the time of this recording, I played it and finished it last night. So the thoughts are very fresh in my brain. And man, oh man, I was already in love with this game from playing the demo a few times, but now playing the full game, having the full experience, having the full context, it was amazing. I loved every single part of it. I will say up front that I did get a review key from the folks over at Heavy Lunch Studio, so shout out to you guys for supporting the channel. So, but all my thoughts I try to keep as original, even though I did get a review key. So you can take my thoughts with a grain of salt, but this game is great. This game is amazing. It's already one of my favorites of 2026. It's super charming. And so I have some thoughts about it, and I just want to talk about how fun this game is. But right up before I get into what I really love, there is one thing I didn't really enjoy as much, and that has to do with the combat. So I've talked about the combat and how it's very reactionary. So essentially you have a lot of systems going on within the combat of Hermit and Pig. So you have multiple different kinds of attacks, like punching, kicking, using your cane, using your slingshot, and various other things. Pig even joins you in the fight at some other times. There's also various specials you get from eating these special blue mushrooms, and you have to do timed attacks. But the button presses you have to do are timed. So you have a timer over in the top right hand corner. You also have a combat book where you have to enter in certain button combinations in order to pull off the attacks correctly, otherwise they'll miss. And as the timer is going down, you have to make sure you get that. Also timing critical attacks and also stuff like that. So I was playing with that for a while. That's kind of the preferred, more dev recommended experience. But as I kept playing, as I got a few hours into the game, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna have as fun with the combat if it's gonna be like this the entire time. And it seems that Heavy Lunch thought that a lot of people may have thought the same way, because there is multiple accessibility options within Hermit and Pig, which was great. And that's one of the things I really like, just to start off what I love about this game, is that there's great accessibility. You can turn off the timer, you can change the way that the combat's set up. So the way that I set it up is that there's a simple mode which changes the combo attacks for more traditional RPG inputs where you're just selecting the attack. I still have the timer in top right hand corner for the tension. I did change it to where I was just selecting the attacks as opposed to having to remember the button combinations every single time, because that was getting more frustrating as I got further on. But this made my experience so much more better. You can even simplify it even further. There's more of a story-based difficulty where you can just essentially strip away a lot of the combat, a lot of the tension, and just make it more enjoyable and make it more adventurous, make it more story-driven if you want it that way. So shout out to the devs for the amount of accessibility options. I love it when games have an abundance of accessibility options, be it colorblind options, be it difficulty options, being the way to kind of customize your experience. And so I love it when games do that. Now every game needs to have that, but I appreciate it when games do incorporate that into their development so a wider range of people can enjoy the game. So I really appreciate the accessibility there. So I love that. It was great. It made it so much easier and made the experience so much more enjoyable for me. But that being said, there is a fair amount of strategy within the combat of Hermit and Pig. You would think, just looking at the art style, that this is like a pretty simple, pretty childlike based game, but I mean, there's a lot of heavy topics. Kind of deviate a little bit into the narrative. There's a lot of things involving like corporations, capitalism, and you helping your community, and how they're kind of poisoning the well, like literally, and affecting nature and all of the community around them. And so you're having to kind of fight back against this evil corporation and helping the people around you, gaining allies along the way. So there's a lot of deep narrative plot points within this game, but also the combat within itself is also pretty deep, because you encounter a fair amount of critters and also human enemies. So you have to fight things like bees and bears and beavers, spiders and wasps, and even guards and other things that you have to encounter later on throughout the game that I'm not going to spoil, but it gets pretty crazy as you escalate up the story, as you escalate into the ever evolving plot involving mushrooms and such. So Hermit is more attack based, but as I said, Pig does join you in the fight later on, and he has more support abilities, like the ability to spy, to show what these different critters or human enemies are weak to, because every enemy has a weakness where they're weak to canes, punches, kicks, and all that, and it is up to you to kind of figure out the weakness to get you the most maximum damage. You can also time attacks to where you can dodge if you hit it in the right spot in the defensive meter. That can also chain into dodges, which can also chain into counters later on, so you can remain relatively invincible. You also try to figure out the best way to use Pig and his support ability abilities, the best way to use your specials, which the specials themselves are really fun because they plop you into this kind of mini game scenario where you're trying to build up the most amount of points to do things like boost health, boost attack, boost defense, or provide other stat bonuses as well. So there's a lot of strategy involved in the ways to use your specials, use your attacks, use Pig's support abilities to either defend Hermit or to hide or to regain health, and also to use the items from all the different mushrooms that you pick up to increase your health, to heal yourself, to throw mushrooms, to attack enemies, to provide other bonuses, to revive yourself if you fall down during a fight. So yeah, there's a lot of systems involved in the combat. It's surprisingly deep, and like I think I've said this before, where the combat is surprisingly deep, and it gets way more deep the further in you go to the game. So I mean, it's not terribly difficult. It's not the most difficult game by any stretch of the imagination. It's not like in Expedition 33 or even other RPGs that are a little bit harder than that. I remain relatively unscathed. There are a few times where I went down because I maybe missed a button press, but other than that, it wasn't really that hard. And even as you get further on and as health bars increase, it really wasn't that difficult as far as combat is concerned. And maybe if I had on the original combat system, it would be a lot harder. But in any case, I did enjoy that. There's also a lot of trinkets that you can find out in the wild, or you can buy them from various vendors using different mushrooms to trade and to buy trinkets, and those provide stat bonuses as well, be it more health, be it more defense, or the ability to dodge better, or the ability to refill your special bar a lot quicker as well. So yeah, there's a lot of fun things to explore. I didn't get every single trinket, I didn't get every single mushroom or explore every nook and cranny, but I explored a fair amount and got a good amount to. By the end of the game, I was pretty stacked up and was taking out enemies pretty quickly. There's also some fun elements where you'll be collecting some allies and they will help you passively in the background. So there'll be some sections where Hermit or Pig will be alone and they'll maybe gather an ally and they will help them passively. You won't actually control these NPCs and they'll do their own attacks, but they'll also be able to help you out, and you can see the escalation of that as you get to the end. Again, no spoilers for the ending of this game, but it really ramps up. It really shows the dynamic of the community you've been building up throughout the entire time. There's actually combat dialogue sessions. It's not really combat, you're more engaged in the combat system, but you're doing more dialogue prompts where if you select a wrong dialogue, I mean, I say wrong dialogue, you'll take cringe damage. It's also like, it's just 1 pip of health, but you'll receive damage from inducing cringe on somebody you're talking to. But there'll be times where just like an enemy that will run into you, will crash into you, you'll just get into a dialogue prompt and you'll talk to him that way. So that persists throughout the entirety of the game, and that makes for some hilarious dialogue interactions, especially between you and Pig. And yes, you do talk to Pig. Pig talks back to you. It's explained within the story how Pig is talking to you, but it's hilarious nonetheless that you are talking to Pig, Pig is talking to you, and then Pig is talking to other people that are responding like, hey, why is this Pig talking? It doesn't make any sense. So it's great, and there's a lot of charm, a lot of whimsy within this. Also love the music. It's very jazz based. There's a lot of like percussive instruments. In fact, when you're in the combat, again, going back to the combating because there's a lot in the combat, the sound effects are actually cymbal crashes, and there's a lot of drum hits within the combat, and there's a lot of like just percussive elements between each biome that you're going through, from the forest to the town to the factory to the mountains and to every biome in between there. Overall, I had a great experience with Hermit and Pig, and like I said, it is already one of my favorite games for 2026. Got a lot more games to play, a lot more games coming out. We're only into February right now, but the list is piling up, and I'm already enjoying a lot of games. There's a lot of bangers out there. This game is not even that long. I completed this game in about 7.5 hours, maybe more if you wanted to explore more, if you wanted to get 100% completion. But this is not a long game per se. You could probably get through it in a few days, but I had to spread it out because I was playing other games and I didn't get time to play this one. I think actually one thing to note is that at the time of this recording, there is no cloud saves between PC and Steam Deck. I wanted to play this on Steam Deck to kind of carry over my save as I was playing. I would have completed this a lot quicker, but I was not able to play this on the Steam Deck without kind of making a new save, and I didn't want to start over a new game, so I just had to play it on PC. So hopefully, if the devs are listening to this, hopefully you guys set out an update to kind of incorporate cloud saves so I can have cloud saves in between PC and Steam Deck for people who will play this later on. But again, it's never a dull moment, a great experience. I'm very happy with the accessibility of this, and overall Hermit and Pig is a great experience. It's a must play for 2026. I hope you play this game, and let me know if you do pick pick up Hermit and Pig. It's still available. It just came out last week, and it needs some more reviews. I would love more people to review this game, or at least try out the demo and let the dev know how you feel. And shout out to the devs again for providing me with their review key. I really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Love this game. If you want to see more content involving Hermit and Pig, you should check out Good Game Lobby, or aka Say's review on it. He is one of the most ardent supporters of Hermit and Pig. He's probably more of a fan than I am. He's one of the people that's recommended this game to me. So definitely check out his review if you want more Hermit and Pig, if you want to hear more voices on that as well. And if you want to see more videos from me, they will pop up as well. I'm playing Hungry Horrors a lot for the month of February. That's my roguelike of the month, as well as an end of the month showcase that's going to come out. I've been playing a lot of demos. Steam Next Fest is coming up, so excited to talk about all those at the end of this month. But let me know if you're going to pick up Hermit and Pig, or let me know if you're playing anything in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Chike, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out.